Thank you so much, Eric. Coach, congratulations. I know that coaches become coach. Yes, you want to win games and you want to win championships, but you also want to develop players. And so when you look at Con and what he accomplished tonight, what does that mean to you to be part of that?
Yeah, it's fairly special to be a part of. Anytime you can be around moments like that are historic, it's pretty special. And so to see kind of where his story started, where he continues to kind of ascend to is really cool. I think that not only has Khan done a phenomenal job to accomplish what he just accomplished, but it's also the players around him. I think that they have put him in great positions. They've helped him along the way. The coaching staff has helped him as well. Our performance staff has put him in a position to be this successful. So a ton of credit to Khan. Really cool to be a part of such a humble, hard-working young man.
You see the guys celebrating with each other, not just Khan, but in general. But how much has he and even the rookie class just helped set the culture that you talk about all the time?
Yeah, I think that, Brandon and Melo and Miles, they were here last year. They helped kind of lay that foundation, as well as the other players that were here last year. And Grant continues to be here, and so on and so forth, and Josh. We can't forget about that. But the rookie class has definitely come on top of that, and they've done a great job of kind of elevating the standards, bringing a professionalism to them, bringing a mindset of just wanting to impact winning any way they possibly can, and having like a selflessness about them. So it's all becoming contagious, but it kind of starts with those guys that helped lay the foundation last year.
You always talk about daily improvement, so let's focus on that in tonight's game. Where did you see the improvement over the course of this evening's game?
Well, at the end of the third quarter, we've talked about situational basketball, and we were actually able to kind of execute a 2-for-1 perfectly. I actually think it was like a 3-for-2. And so to see our group have the maturity, the poise to kind of get ourselves in great positions, execute at a high level, understand time and score and clock, and it was cool to see. So we got better in a lot of ways, and we still are an unfinished product, though, and have some other areas that we can continue to improve.
Still plenty of time. Congratulations.
Thank you, Shannon.
Eric, back to
you. Aside from the three-point shooting, what other aspects of Khan's game stand out to you?
We talked about it pregame. His defense, I think that, you can see how physical he is, how smart he is, to understand how to execute coverage as well, how to take away people's tendencies. His competitive spirit just really shines, I think, on the defensive end, coming in, helping us rebound. And then offensively, like you said, on the top of shooting the ball well, I think he's a really good driver, under control driver, and makes really good passes too. And so he's always just in a mindset of how can I play make, not only for myself, but for the whole team.
Khan didn't score until 2:26 in the first quarter, and that Brandon kind of exploded for a bunch of points. Can you talk about the way that all of those young guys are kind of filling in their roles and just playing together?
Yeah, there's a selflessness amongst all of them. They understand how good each other are, how much they need one another, but they also understand how do we attack a certain matchup maybe. And so Khan might have a guy that we actually want to attack defense, who's on defense that we want to attack offensively, and Brandon will be like, Khan, you go to that spot, or vice versa. Khan's like, Brandon, you just hit 2 in a row, you go to the spot that might be the scoring action. So the selflessness and the way that they all work off of each other, Melo kind of putting them in the right spots to be successful too, and cutting with pace even if the play isn't for him, and the same thing for those guys. I love the connectivity that those guys have.
On the night, since LaMelo returned from injury December 12th, you have the best record, the best offense in the NBA. What clicks with that group?
It's a lot of things, but you bring up Melo's name, and to me, he is the battery or the engine behind the whole offense. And when he's playing with the pace and the purpose and intentionality on every possession, he's dangerous. Obviously, his ability to shoot the ball brings defenders up the floor. Our screening has helped him then get himself down the floor into the paint at times, and some of the reads and passes that he makes are unbelievable. And then we have a lot of shooters out on the perimeter that I think give him the space he needs to be able to operate. And then I've just seen a ton of maturity and growth from him, not forcing shots, trusting his teammates. In Washington, we just saw him have a hot hand in the third quarter, and he still didn't try to just ISO and take a heat check shot. It was like a maturity to him that said, hey, let's still get to another action. He drove it, somebody stepped up, and he kicked out for a 3. And so as he continues to grow and develop and mature, our whole offense just keeps getting better and better, and he's kind of the engine behind it.
How important is it to have these organic moments where you can rest guys in these type of games as opposed to maybe load management where you have these guys who can continually get action, but also, you're not overdoing the workload?
Yeah, it's a good and bad thing in my opinion, to be honest. Like you said, the workload maybe from a minute standpoint, they're not heavy on their minutes, but you're also missing an opportunity to get a close game in the fourth quarter, to understand how to execute at the end of the game, and all those possessions that are necessary, towards the end of the season in really meaningful games, or if you happen to be in a postseason, those are good moments for you to have to go through in the regular season. And so sometimes not having those can actually hurt you, or not having another couple minutes to have groups build continuity or do defensive coverages. So it's a plus and a minus in my opinion.
You guys finished 3-0 on the road trip. How can you kind of, push this into this next round of home games?
Yeah, it's important for us to just keep focusing on our daily habits. Brandon's brought it up a ton. A lot of our guys have, just trying to find the consistency with what we do. I think we started the game in a pretty good spot. You let your foot off the gas for a little bit, your execution goes down, you have some turnovers, and it's like, how can you find these moments where you're not having multiple minutes or multiple possessions of like sloppy play on offense and defense? And so the great thing about this team is I think we're really good, and we're still an unfinished product. There's still so much room for us to keep growing.
You talked about Con's defense. Were there any specific moments tonight where you saw that competitive fire and that competitive edge on that end of the floor?
Yeah, guarding McConnell, I thought there was a couple where he's kind of sitting down and making sure he's not getting to his right hand or baseline or getting to a reject. I think he had a couple too where he switches on to somebody and they really tried to post up our Reds, and he did a really great job of being there and not allowing deep post catches too. So there's a ton of examples there. And then in transition, his communication between the verbal and the visual was great. He got to a high quadrant contest on somebody, and I wish he actually would have came back in and rebounded, but he did a great job on the first layer.
Thanks. Last one.
Yeah, there's a play where Melo is a bit late. Musa steps up and contests the drive, and then goes to Micah Porter and makes him kick out the ball after pump fake twice. What does that tell about the presence that Musa has in the paint?
Yeah, it talks a lot about Musa's presence. We need our fives to be active and help us protect the rim. I think it's also why our defense has taken positive strides is that the group is connected and they understand the importance of what we're trying to accomplish and how we got to get stops and how we have to cover for each other. And the game happens too fast. It's not always going to be perfect. And just like it's your mentality to have a multiple effort mindset. And instead of watching somebody else lay the ball in the basket, what can I do to help us get that stop? And I think that all of our guys have that mindset.